Hello there, world of YouTube. This is your girl SwimmstaGal coming at you with my 2023 bullet journal setup. This year's a little bit special because I had my husband help me pick out my notebook, and he went with this Valentine's edition notebook that Archer and Olive came out with in 2022. Currently what I'm doing right now is sizing up the inside cover. I just kind of eyeballed it, used a pencil, did the whole shebang, cut her up, and then glued her back in. Personally, when I'm gluing these in or putting them in there, I like to use a tape runner, but my tape runner ran out on me, so I had to use glue stick. And as you can see here, it's not a perfect fit. Did it bother me a little bit? Yes it did, but not enough to go cut out another piece of paper, so I just tried my best to center it when I was placing it onto the notebook. Next, we're going to go ahead and move on and place a clear cover. For those of you guys that may not have known, it's a little hack, or I guess a little tip. The Midori A5 clear covers fit the 160 page Archer and Olive notebooks, so they're relatively inexpensive. You can get about two, I think, for like $8. So if you have multiple notebooks like I do, these come in clutch. Now, slight lighting change. I'm still trying to figure out the whole lighting situation. I had bought a new ring light, but then I can't mount it because my things can't hold it. But we're gonna move and groove with what we got. So for the cover page, I wanted something that was a little bit bolder than what I did last year. Last year it was just a few chibi characters of some of my favorite animes, and in this case I just decided to blow out like Eevee evolutions. For those of you guys that watch Pokemon, Eevee has multiple evolutions, so I wanted something that was going to take up the whole page with the 2023 centered in the middle. So what you see me doing right here is basically just tracing out or drawing out the Eevees. To do this specifically, I went with the bold, or for those of you guys that might remember some of my older videos, my thick boy, to go around and outline all the Eevees. I felt that it would make it look nice, bold, thick. They would stand out a lot more, considering that for the first time I would think ever I'm adding watercolor to my journal. Was I still questioning my life choices at this point? Yes, I was, because when I finished this, I had like 3 different people. Do I color it in? Do I color it in? Because part of me did not want to, but the other part of me was like, girl, you have so much paint, stationery items, you need to put them to use. And part of the reason I don't put it to use is just because I'm not experienced with those mediums. Actually, I'm not experienced with a lot of painting mediums, but watercolor is one of the ones that's always captured my attention. I just have not taken the time to practice. So I was like, you know what, girl, you need to use them because you got a lot, and this would be like a nice starting point. Eventually, the more experience I get with watercolor, I'll be able to look back on this painting and say, wow, look at all the improvement I made. So after convincing myself, I went ahead and started watercoloring them in. The reference image I used didn't match the actual coloring of the Pokemon perfectly, and it's been a while since I've watched Pokemon or played Pokemon, so I wasn't like 100% like on what the colors look like. And then, but you know what, overall the picture still came out nice, and I think my favorite part was this one. I know if right now you're gonna be like, girl, you skipped over like all the Eevee paintings. Yes, I did, mainly because I lost a lot of that footage, but this is what it all turned out in the end. And I added rose gold, I guess considered metallic finish paint, just to make it stand out against all the Eevees. Yes, my page did wrinkle, and I think for the first time ever also I had to use a clip to hold the page down just because it was continuously coming up. Similar to last year, I did choose a word of the year. For this year in particular, I went with freedom. Last year it was fulfillment, so basically I was like searching with it myself, trying to find things that fulfilled me. And this year is more, my word is freedom, as in don't abide by the rules so much. Give yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of leeway. You can make mistakes, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I did a watercolor technique where it's like wet on wet. So basically I just laid down water first, and then I just put the colors in kind of like a way that where they would go from like purple to yellow, I think. Yeah, purple to yellow. And I just let the watercolor do its own thing, and then I just splattered some stuff on there. Now, at this point, I was still super excited because I didn't put the title of Year at a Glance just because I know what it is. So I said, you know what, let me center my word of the year, put the dates around it. And I was so happy that I, for the first time in all of my bullet journaling, I did not mess up any of the dates. Because usually I do. Usually I mess up like 1 or 2 months. So I was like super excited. I'm here, I'm all stamping out my months. And then I realized I put June on there twice. I totally skipped through May. But, you know, easy fix. I put on a quick little another page. I cut it up and I put it in there. You know, still not as big of a mistake as I'm used to. So that was awesome. After that, I moved on to my future log. I was really debating not doing this page just because I didn't really use it last year. I don't think I've ever really used it. But I said, you know what, let me go ahead and give it another shot. We're going to go ahead and add some other features to my future log that will make me flip back to it. Because mostly what I use this for is more like birthday tracking. But I also have like the important birthdays of people I want to remember and say happy birthday to on my calendar. So I really don't need to have them on here, but it's like a nice on paper reminder. Now, for the design or the characters I went on here were some espadas from Bleach. It would be my 3 favorites, although I don't know if you would count Neliel, assuming I'm pronouncing her name correctly, as an espada, because I know she was like an ex-espada. I digress. But right here I'm going in with Grimjow. And I didn't think about it when I put down Grimjow first. But then I was like, oh, it would be so cool to use the Espada characters as like the tabs for like the months and whatnot. But I didn't feel like redrawing Grimjow. So I just left them on the bottom corner. And what I did instead was kind of reverse the order. So instead of having, you know, January, February, March, and April tab at the top, I left them at the bottom. Then I centered the next 4 months, and then Neliel, who's going to be the last 4 months, is at the top. So they kind of like line up a little bit better. And the bright side of doing it that way was that that bottom corner where Grimjow's out doesn't look super empty. So it's not like a lot of white space. So at the end, I really did kind of like that go with the flow. I just decided to leave them there because it did turn out quite nice. Now, the goal for most of the chibi characters with the watercolor was just to do like some main points of coloring it in, not anything like too drastic. So you're gonna see that for Grimjow, I only color in his hair, which is like, you know, blue. I know it's like a brighter, more deeper blue, but I was really scared that some of this was gonna go through to the next page, so I didn't want to risk it. To add some visual interest, I did use pearlescent paint for the eyes just to have like a little bit more of a sheen or reflectiveness whenever, you know, you're moving the page. For Yukiora, I colored in his hair. I know it's like blacker, but again, I wasn't really sure because I've never used watercolor so heavily on the Archer and Olive notebooks how much they could take. I'm not 100% sure whether or not I'm gonna show that when I did his eyes, because you guys can see I tried to do like an ombre with the pearlescence. It did actually go through to the other page, so it bled through. I believe that would be the correct term. Now, I did choose to slow down the clip just slightly for this, just so you guys can see how careful I was being with the watercolor. It looks like I was adding a decent amount of water, but honestly it was just to drop in the pigment. Luckily for me, Neliel herself didn't actually bleed through to the next page, so it wasn't such a biggie. I learned my mistake from Yukiora. But again, since I'm like a super watercolor newbie, I was nervous throughout this entire process just because I was like, am I adding too much water? Am I not adding enough? So after painting her hair green, I added similar lines to what you guys see for the September, October, November, December into the other months, and I just kind of color coordinated it to the Espada that was assigned to them and added social media growth trackers to them. Going into the themes, this is just a page where I'm gonna keep track of the themes I do every month. And to keep it simple, I just penciled out basically the 12 spaces. I didn't color them in or outline them just because I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about laying it out. Whether I want to do just one big collage at the end of the year or literally do like boxes at a time per, you know, theme I choose to do. So once I figure that out, I'll go back in there and either, you know, section out the boxes or just wait towards the end of the year or to like the characters as they come along. We'll see. On the bottom corner, I went with some Blue Lock characters. It's one of the newer animes that I've come across that I enjoy. It's a really good anime. Definitely recommend it if you're into like the sporty animes. This one is based off of soccer. I chose not to color them in. I just kept them simple, you know, black and white, just kind of as an ode to my old style of art or my old way of doing things. And then we're moving on to my last spreads, with some of them are my social media milestone trackers. And these were also left relatively empty. Well, actually, it was pretty much empty aside from the little Sailor Moon you guys are going to see me draw in pretty soon. Mainly because I'm not entirely sure how I want to lay these out either. Like, do I want to do circles? Do I want to do boxes? Do I want to do memories of what I was doing when I hit that particular milestone? I just haven't figured it out yet. Part of me kind of wants to do like that memories, take a quick little picture, print it out, write what I was doing, and then the number I hit and when I hit it, just because it's super interesting to me to be able to look back on those days and those memories and know where I was to where I'm going. And who better than to cheer us on than the Sailor Scout herself, Sailor Moon. And for Sailor Moon, I also went in with the metallic paints. I used gold, like a whiter gold and a rose gold, just to add some visual interest to the painting on the bottom corner. And then I did similar to what I used with the word freedom. I did little splatters that got all over my desk, but honestly that was it for this one. Pretty easy spreads. If you want to keep it minimal, just don't draw in any of the characters. But overall, I really enjoyed the way my layout came out. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. I will catch you guys next time. Stay tuned for my January plan with me.